Good morning, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing another video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and I want to tell a true story for the purpose of conveying an idea. I do that sometimes in my videos, and this one's going to be interesting, I hope, and I'll get right to it. So, the idea is that sometimes people are inclined to offload their problems onto other people, and it's not always clear to them whose problem it is, but there is a convenient measurement that will tell you many times whose problem it is. And there's a couple of criteria that if you remember these things and you use them in determining whose problem it is, you can figure out very easily and quickly what side of the line it's on. For example, this is a true story, like I said. It's June right now, although you wouldn't know it by the weather. I'm in Northern California, and it's unseasonably cool. It's I think in the 50s, low 50s today, although it will probably warm up later on this afternoon. It's been very hot. Every year it's hot here in the summertime, but it's been hot enough to go to the river, and I've been spending time there. You may have noticed in my recent videos I've been at the river. And a gentleman has been frequenting the same location I go to with his young boy at maybe 8, 9 years old. I'm not sure, but the man, I presume, is that boy's father, and he is the type of parent that you might have seen around who is a bit controlling, a bit loud, and verbose with his kid. He's constantly instructing him, telling him what to do, what not to do, and he's very communicative with other people in a presumptuous, superior kind of way. And he asked me, are you the guy who was jumping out of that tree over there? I dismissed the question. Honestly, I gave him a non-committal answer. I said, I don't know. You can interpret that as I don't know who you saw necessarily, but I was really just ending the conversation. I'm allowed to do that. And then I took off right immediately thereafter. So but my point is, and I can see why he asked, because this man's child, who was swimming in the river with everybody, you never know who's going to be there. There's a handful of people, and this boy, I'm not trying to read too much into it, not trying to judge, but he has some clear health problems, such as childhood obesity, and I'm not even trying to take an interest in this family, but it's unavoidable to notice that the man is yelling at the child all day, and I don't know what the source of their dysfunction is. I'm not trying to figure it out, but it's relevant to this video in that it's clear the man's question was aimed at the role model I am by being there as an adult, by the example I set while I'm there with my behavior. And I want to talk about this a little bit. So he is, in his mind, apparently presuming that if there's a problem, such as a bad example being set in front of his boy, his young boy, who is clearly impressionable, then it's my problem, perhaps. And maybe he's asking the question, maybe he's not actually fully jumping to that conclusion, but at least it's a question in his mind. That's clear to me. And I want to answer this because, no, it's not my problem, and here's why. Even if his boy were to try to follow me up the tree, across the river, which arguably is dangerous. It's if you don't know what you're doing, the river's pretty shallow right now. They're conserving water. I expect in anticipation of a long summer. The water level's a little bit lower than usual. There's only a few feet of water beneath this high branch that you can jump off of if you land right. That's the part, right? You got to land right. You got to go in at an angle, and you don't, crush your legs, obviously, if you do it right. But there's the potential for doing it wrong. And the man was concerned that I was setting a bad example. The tone was clear in his question. So what I want to say is that it's not my problem because there are rivers everywhere, first of all, part one. There are trees everywhere, part two. And there are people everywhere, part three. Which makes this an enforceability question. Hear me out. If you're not familiar with the idea of enforceability, it's a huge, huge thing, because as much as somebody is used to blaming other people, as much as somebody wants to, or it would be convenient to, blame the messenger or blame the people who are, living their lives, virtuously or whatever have you, if it's not enforceable, it becomes your problem by elimination. This is what I mean. Now, maybe you're not trying to hear that some children aren't supposed to be successful climbing trees. That statistically speaking, not every child is going to survive. Nobody's trying to hear that their child's too stupid to live, okay? Trust me. But statistically speaking, it's true. It always has been. So the question, like I said, becomes one about enforceability. It's a clue. It's a powerful clue as to whose problem it is. Do you attack the people who are able to climb trees, who have learned to be successful, and who are adept enough to keep from hurting themselves consistently? Or do you admit that maybe the river's not the best place for your inept child? God bless you guys. I'm sorry. What if, now, by the same logic, hear me out. What if I picked up a large stone and smashed myself in the face? Okay, is the child going to try that? What if I even said, hey, that was great, man. I love doing that. Is the child going to try that? Why or why not? Okay, the honest answer is no, he's not, because he already has that safety apparatus. He's got the mental acuity, at least, I'm sure, to know danger from obvious safety, at least enough to question it. We all do, okay? If you've ever banged your toe or your knee on a corner or whatever, you learn very quickly to question things in general, including this boy who is challenged in ways. Okay, so to just offload the problem, in conclusion, I don't want to go on and on, to offload every problem to the nearest bystander or people who are just trying to enjoy their freedom, to enjoy the river, to enjoy, swimming outdoors, when, your child has been beaten down by an overbearing, micromanaging parent to the point where he has no more independent thought, to the point where he has no more autonomy and no more impulse control. He just does as he's instructed because that's what you've told him every single day. That is definitely your problem, sir. If you don't even look at the enforceability thing, where there's rivers everywhere, trees everywhere, and people swimming everywhere. It's not my problem, bro. It's never going to be my problem. Either keep your kid away from the river or stop bossing him around so he has a chance to think for himself. And that's my advice, not that you have to follow it. Does that make sense? Enforceability. That's the subject here. It's a powerful clue. Reach out if you like with questions down below. Thank you.